spontaneous celebrations erupt at the White House and Ground Zero, bin Laden's body has finally come to rest on the USS Carl Vinson, somewhere in the North Arabian Sea. The body is washed and placed in a white sheet.
It was prepared in accordance with the Islamic requirements.
Some words in Arabic are spoken. Then at 2 a.m. Washington time, the body is tilted and dropped into the sea. Mission accomplished.
When we come back, the SEALs who took down bin Laden. Would you put yourself through training like this to become the best of the best? They did.
How would you describe one of these guys?
My description is that they're social misfits that make music together.
Next.
This week, the word SEAL can only mean one thing: hero. And what makes the SEALs who took down bin Laden, the vaunted Team 6, even more compelling is the mystery that surrounds them. So secret, there could be no photos when the president congratulated them today at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The more you learn about these men, the more they really do seem like supermen. It is a very good time to be a Navy SEAL.
The Navy SEALs, and oh my God, how about a tip of the hat to those boys?
We thought we were going to spend Monday covering the royal wedding. Of course, that was before we knew the X-Men, a.k.a. SEAL Team 6, were taking out public D-bag number 1.
And I want to personally congratulate the guys who got her done, SEAL Team 6. Give it up, absolutely.
Team 6 is the new power phrase. From the president to the press, everyone is praising the heroes who took out enemy number 1. But those whose pride may be the most profound are here in the quiet town of Virginia Beach, the home base of the elite SEAL unit called Team 6.
God bless the man that took the shot.
Here they know how big a deal this truly is for Team 6. Taking out bin Laden was the fulfillment of a promise made 30 years ago.
It's a nice way for me to say I told you so.
Former SEAL Richard Marcinko was given the job of developing Team 6 in 1980, an order born of failure after a botched attempt to rescue American hostages being held by followers of Ayatollah Khomeini in Iran.
I still relive the embarrassment that I felt sitting in the command center at the Pentagon, Desert One, when it was called off.
The pain of losing 8 servicemen in a fiery crash became the motivation to make sure America would never fail again, that we would prepare men to take on any terror threat and get the job done.
No longer would counter-terrorist operations be done by, in essence, part-time help. I mean, there's a self-contained unit that can go any place in the world and literally do nothing but kick ass.
Bottom line, they are the best of the best. Team 6 is drawn from the top of the 2,500 member SEAL ranks. Men aged 26 to 33 are selected, ensuring a base of years of battlefield experience. They endure the most intensive training in the world to become the best anywhere doing anything, whether sea, air, or land. That's what SEAL stands for.
They have to make your life as miserable as possible in training, and they don't want to see any signs of weakness at all in you.
Training is basically a 2-year-long hazing process, a hellish experience where recruits are subjected to constant physical strain, forced to endure Arctic conditions and submerge themselves in freezing water, even endure exposure to tear gas. 75% don't make it through.
Hey, you got some kind of problem?
If you do make the cut, it then takes years of field experience to even be considered for Team 6. Members of Team 6 have their soldiering skills honed to an almost superhuman level. On missions, they may jump from a plane 11 miles up, sit in deadly silence, trained to camouflage themselves to any environment, or hold their breath underwater for over 2 minutes without releasing a single bubble. Now, all of these examples may seem to blend together, but I assure you, these men do things that we cannot. Usually, if you go into the water with your hands and feet bound, it's the last time anybody's going to see you. But Navy SEALs spend a lot of time like this. Now, SEALs can swim 25 yards underwater this way, the length of the pool. The average man...
How'd I do? Barely half. They have to do the whole length. And guess what? This is the easy part.
Easy because what really separates Team 6 is their mental fortitude, their ability to fight through pain, maintain focus after days of battle stress, and overcome fear in the face of the enemy.
You got to swim into land, and then you've got to patrol or navigate into your target. You're going to break down, and you're going to start getting tired, and it's the mind that's going to keep the person going.
Incredible achievement that comes with incredible sacrifice. But more than the toll on the body or the mind, it is the toll on the personal lives of these men that may be most painful.
Unfortunately, it's a little bit of a joke when you see your old buddies say, hey, what marriage you on now? You know.
Sometimes it's like you just want to punch a wall or just scream. I'm sure many of us have.
Linda has been married to a Navy SEAL for 22 years. She can't reveal his name because, like all SEAL team members, his identity is top secret. She says there's an unspoken agreement between husband and wife about a SEAL's double life. The mission is off limits, a rule that's tough to live by.
It's not easy, but I have to say the homecomings make it so worth it. It really does. The homecomings make it worth it. You know they love their job. And that, as a wife, you're so proud of them.
The greatest strain on the family, though, is not what happens when a loved one comes home, but what happens when they don't. Navy SEAL Michael Murphy was killed in Afghanistan in 2005 after he deliberately exposed himself to enemy fire so he could call in air support.
Michael was a special operator, and those SEALs are a community unto themselves.
Michael was awarded the Medal of Honor, and this newly built warship will be called the USS Michael Murphy, to honor not just his sacrifice, but that of his fellow SEALs as well.
They all carry within themselves the same personality and the same sense of duty that Michael did, and we should thank God that we have such men.
When we come back, it was home to a platform bed, a small rug, and the world's most wanted terrorist. It's also a vacation paradise. So how did Osama bin Laden end up living there?
It was the only place he could walk to.
Next.
18-foot walls, barbed wire, 2 security gates guarding the only way in. A little obvious, you'd think, in a town that was known as a garden spot for tourists, not to mention being just 1 mile away from Pakistan's version of West Point. So how did the most hunted man in history come to be hiding in plain sight in a town called Abbotabad? ABC's Nick Schifrin is back on the scene.
It isn't a mud house in the mountains. It isn't a hidden cave. The hideout of the world's most infamous terrorist this week turned into a tourist attraction. With families, kids, and neighbors standing outside the home where bin Laden lived. That is until this morning, when the Pakistanis suddenly closed it down, cutting off access to almost everyone. Among his neighbors, the CIA. They moved into one of these houses near bin Laden's compound about 6 months before the raid. They tried to peer over the walls and listen to his phone conversations. Up until that point, his hideout had worked perfectly. He'd already lived here for 5 years.
Well, the reason he ended up in Pakistan was it was the only place he could walk to from Tora Bora. He was being heavily bombarded by the U.S. Air Force. He took a small group of people and quietly climbed down the other side of the mountain pass into Pakistan.
While the U.S. scoured the mountains, construction on his future home began in 2005 using his own money. His fortune came from the family construction business, and now in a middle-class suburban neighborhood hundreds of miles from the Afghan border, the compound rises. 3 stories, 12-foot walls. but a modest, almost shabby interior, a platform bed, and a small rug in what was likely his own room. The house lies on the edge of Abbotabad, right between two very different sections of town. One, upper middle class, where even some retired army officers live, and the other behind the house that is rural and poor. But of all the cities, why did he choose this one? Take a look at this map. There is bin Laden's compound, and just a few thousand feet away, Pakistan's equivalent of West Point. This is a military town, and every major Pakistani military figure has graduated from the military academy here.
Well, there are two ways of looking at Abbotabad. One is, if he was being supported by a network of Pakistani military sympathizers, Pakistani intelligence sympathizers, this is where they were living themselves, and so this is where they put him. Another theory is that precisely because it was a military town with a lot of retired intelligence officers, Al-Qaeda might have thought, that's the last place they think we will be.
But besides the military, this town is known for something else: tourism. There are dozens of hotels downtown. Locals call it a hill station, where the weather is nice, the scenery lush.
This is one of the most beautiful regions of Central Asia and perhaps the world.
Robert Reed is travel editor for Lonely Planet, whose Pakistan guidebook includes this listing on Abbotabad.
Abbotabad is on the southern stretch of the Karakoram Highway, which is about an 850-mile road that connects Pakistan with China. It's considered one of the great journeys in the world. And this place, it looks European, like tree-lined streets. You have 3 active churches there, so it looks different than a lot of Pakistan.
But not quite as peaceful as it used to be. Just this morning, new troubles here. Protests in support of bin Laden, graffiti on the walls near the compound, and some 200 people rounded up by authorities. Pakistan is embarrassed and uncomfortable with what's happening, so it's considering blowing the compound up to prevent it from becoming a kind of shrine. But no matter what happens to this house, Abbotabad will now always be known as the place where bin Laden lived and died.
When we come back, they lost parents and grew up with terror. How does Osama's death affect them?
My mom thought it was a sign that my dad was giving me a birthday present. Is that really how you felt? When my sister found out, she was just doing my dad's old happy dance, and oh my God, I was laughing because I have not seen that happy dance in years.
They are the Harry Potter generation, teenagers who have never known an America without the fear of terrorists attacking, kids whose lives have been bookended by 2 iconic events, 9/11 and now the killing of Osama bin Laden. I sat down with a group of teenagers, some of whom lost parents, all of whom were deeply affected by the death of bin Laden.
The panicky first graders who ran for their lives from an elementary school 2 blocks from Ground Zero are now in high school and among the jubilant generation who celebrated the death of Osama bin Laden.
Everyone's just chanting America. You look out the window on the street and you just see people running.
I ran downstairs, I go to my mom, and I was just so speechless. I pointed at the TV.
And I see breaking news, Osama bin Laden's been killed, and I ended up watching it for, up until maybe 4 a.m.
Kevin Vila was in 3rd grade when he buried his mother, Yamal, an EMT who died at Ground Zero. He is now 17.
I wanted to see the crowds of people because I would have done anything to have been there.
When I got to school, my friends ran up to me and was like, "Oh my God, you just got the coolest birthday present in the world."
Amanda Higley was 4 when she last celebrated her birthday with her father, Robert. He died in Tower Number 2.
My mom thought it was a sign that my dad was giving me a birthday present.
Is that really how you felt?
Kind of. Couldn't get over most of it. And I swear when my sister found out, she was just doing my dad's old happy dance. And oh my God, I was laughing because I have not seen that happy dance in years.
Bin Laden's death was also a kind of gift to Jake Meltzer, who lost his father, Stuart. Jake turned 13 last Friday, and with the news that Bin Laden was killed, had much more to celebrate this weekend.
Saturday was my bar mitzvah day, and Sunday I had 1 million people writing my wall, 3 different things, happy birthday, mazel tov, and you really deserve